And we're live. It worked. All right. Welcome, everybody, to your favorite weekly series, Grace Under Pressure, where we feature and interview some royal consorts from around the known world, starting off with our favorite duchesses. This week, we are joined by Duchess Ophelia Holloway Tarragon.
Next we forgot her first name.
Drink. All right.
Comma, Anna.
plus Anna in there. Next week, we're going to be interviewing Duchess Courtland of Artemisia. But for now, let's meet our hosts, since I'm off to such a good start.
Let's meet our hosts. Oh, Joel. You know, this interview series has been a delight. And one of the great delights for me is that I get to gently tease my new friend, Sir Joel de Grace, who started in the SCA 16 years ago and is now in Calontir, who's very lucky to have him. And he was knighted in 2018 in Artemisia, and his consort is his lovely wife, the Honorable Lady Aniela. And so we like to do a fun fact about each other each week to just ratchet up the humiliation just a tiny bit. And this week, Joel shared with me that in 1999, he drove almost 500 miles to go to the Warped Tour concert. And the problem was that he was 14 and didn't ask his parents for permission to go before borrowing their car. So I think he got caught, I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's a whole big story, but I had really gotten super hard into ska music, and I'm still into ska music, and I found out that my favorite band, Less Than Jake, was going to be there, and I'm like, I'm going.
Is that why you joined the SCA, because you thought it meant ska?
You know, the C and the K, like, it was so close, and you know, a whole lot of people wore checkers in the area, which was the same thing, you know. So anyway, and as always, I'm joined by my favorite antagonist, Duchess Dagger of Antir. Her first reign was as Princess of Sinago in the West, and she has since gone on to have 2 reigns in Antir with her husband, Duke Thorin Nielsen. Damn, I was so close this time. This fun fact about Her Grace this week is that her first stadium concert was The Cure. She had this recurring nightmare leading up to it, though, that she was wearing her favorite wooden sandals, and she threw one on the stage during the concert, hitting Robert Smith in the face. She didn't do that. She really, really liked those sandals, so there wasn't a chance of actually doing it, but it was a recurring nightmare that she had leading up to it.
It tells you more than you probably needed to know about my 14-year-old psyche. So we would love, as always, to extend a special thank you to Rifkin and to Ashaxi for hosting Grace Under Pressure on the Sisters Interview Network. And now, Joel, would you please introduce our esteemed guest?
I would be absolutely honored to. Everyone watching, thank you so much for joining us. As always, we are joined this week by Duchess Anna Tarragon. I got the first name in there. I cut out the middle ones this time. You know, you got to take a little victories where we can. She has reigned 10 times in multiple kingdoms. She is a laurel, a pelican. Your Grace, thank you so much for joining us this week. We're really, truly honored to have you here.
Oh, well, thank you very much for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
We see also that there's a lurker behind you, that's not just part of your green screen background.
Yeah,
so
lurker.
He's in muggle clothes. He doesn't count.
So you'll get your heckling live from that part of the room, I guess. So Anna, thank you so much. And, you know, I'm all the way over here in Antir on the other side of the continent, but I've also been in the West Kingdom. And I really appreciate having the chance to talk with you, because we have a lot of transplants from the East Kingdom over on the West Coast. And they always talk about how different it is. And I think that that's a really wonderful thing, that the kingdoms have these independent cultures and ways that they've grown up into what they are. But I'd love to talk about you personally and your SCA origins. What brought you to the SCA? Kind of where did you start, and what has your path been to lead to today?
Well, my first event was a little love revel in the Berry of Loch Salon in Salt Lake City. And a friend of mine, a very dear friend of mine, Adriana, she begged me to go. And so I put on a prom dress little pink, blue, flirty prom dress. And we went to the park, and I had no idea what I was getting into. And after being there a little while and looking around and stuff, and people were playing games, and there was music and there was dancing, this very dashing gentleman came up and handed me a cloven fruit and asked if he could kiss me. And I was 16 at the time, so this was both frightening and exciting at the same time. And this gentleman gave me this very chaste, lovely little peck on the cheek, and I was in. That was the SCA for me, and I was in love. And the whole day was just, it was magic. It was like falling into a book that you had read about knights and ladies and damsels and minstrels, and it was magic. And 16, and I'm still there. So, and it's still magic. It's still.
So we catch you when you're 16, and then you're still with us 20 or 30 years later when you're in charge of ordering the biffies for the event. And the magic is totally gone. But biffies are important, right? Or whatever you call them out there. They're biffies here. I know. Honey buckets.
Honey buckets, yeah. Porta johns. Yep. Yep. No, even when you do that, it's still fun. So.
And what is your persona? What's your gig?
That's a tough one, because I have never been very good at settling down. I started off in the era of the Black Prince because I loved Cote Hardis and I loved that look. And then Mistress Karin von Katzenberg came in Elizabethan one day, and oh my God, that was the bee's knees for a really long time. And I've gotten into Viking. I did a little Persian. So for me, I have just always said that my father was a merchant traveler, and I got to play with all the good fabrics and all the good dresses. So that's as far as that really went.
And what they don't tell you is that you have to buy the accessories for all those things, and they're all different, right?
That is Anna's rule number 1 is accessorize, accessorize, accessorize.
It's all about the bling.
You betcha.
So my consort got very much into Iron Age. Hell, I don't remember exactly which one, but it was an Iron Age one, and it was all about like making the little brass springs that get sewn onto the hat, and all about the little bling bits here and there. Maybe.
What?
I don't know.
Are she doing finish? That would be the little spring thing.
Black galleon.
There you go.
That one. Thank you.
Yep.
So you've had 10 reigns, which I don't know if that's got to be close to the record for most reigns of almost anyone in SCA history.
It's the most for a female.
That's amazing. So you have this huge wealth of experience now. What would current you go back and tell pre-first reign you? Something that you wish you knew before your first reign?
Breathe. Just breathe.
That's good.
That's a very valid point.
There's always someone with a camera, so always smile, and just never let them see you sweat. And other than going to the potty, there's no decision that needs to be made right now.
Those are good. I like it.
Yeah, that's great. So everybody kind of makes like a little bit of a mistake whenever they're first starting out. And a lot of the times those kind of like mistakes or experiences are something you can look back on. But what's like a humorous mistake that you may have made during one of your early reigns that you took as a learning experience? It doesn't, or misstep, however you want to call it.
Of course, Your Grace, you may have never made a single mistake in all of your reigns, and we respect that too.
That is the sweetest thing anyone has ever thought of me. I have an extremely bad habit of when His Grace and I, or His Majesty and I, are sitting on the thrones, I have a bad habit of picking up his glass to drink out of. And he tends to drink things that are far more potent then I tend to have water or a soda or a tea when we're doing court. His Grace's gin and tonics and much, much stronger things. So there's a lot of spluttering sometimes when I'm ready to give out awards, because you take a little sip of something to clear your throat, and there's a lot of so that happens quite frequently, or has happened quite frequently here and there. But that would be, a little bad habit that I have.
So mugs of different shape are important, is what you're saying.
It doesn't matter. I don't know why. It doesn't matter. I just, whatever's there, I grab it. So.
And it is a performance. So you can't, that's the one thing that I think people may not realize until they're in the position, how much of it is staging, and how, you really do want to present some dignity. Dignity is very subjective too, but
when I'm sitting on the throne, I try very hard to be dignified, and I want to give people the vision of a queen that they can respect and that they can admire. So it is a lot of staging, because off the throne, I'm just like little crazy Energizer bunny, but on the throne, I try to, be a little more regal. I try. Sometimes I fail. Often I fail, but I try. So, yeah.
So you became a Duchess in 1987. And for a lot of people, they've not even been playing in the SCA that long. I will mention that my husband is 20 years older than me. So he remembers that time period really well. He remembers when women couldn't fight. He remembers, and it's interesting. Some controversy will come up and he'll say, well, that really reminds me of when these other things were happening. So an example was when inspirational equality was being debated. And he said, yeah, people are saying a lot of the same things they said when they were opposed to women entering the crown lists. Yeah. And we got over it, and, it's the right thing to do, so we should do it. Just that kind of thing where it's nice to have that perspective. Yeah. And to see that, for him, he's like, it's okay. It'll be okay. We'll get through this. We just need to work on it. And we need to, just need to work on things and remember what we are, that we're friends and all of that. So I'd love to hear some of those big shifts that have occurred that you've seen since you were made a Duchess, and what your perspectives are on that. It can be anything. It can be the way we camp. It can be things within the East Kingdom itself. What do you think?
I think, well, one big thing for me is encampments are much, much different. I know, because I did start out in Artemisia and in Atenveldt. Going to Estrella, it was a bunch of pup tents. We were lucky to have a fly to cook under. And now, when we go to Penzig, you see these amazingly beautiful painted pavilions and these encampments with the banners and, the torches and just everything. People try very hard and are very successful in, just creating this very beautiful, medieval, accurate feel to things, walking into a camp. And it's, you can go you get into your garb, and that evening you go to your first encampment, and it's literally like, like walking into this medieval setting. It's just, it's use the word a lot, but it's very magical. It takes that moment and you walk into these encampments, and it just takes your breath away. It's just so beautiful. So that is very different now than it was back then. The other big thing is,
do you think that's a barrier for people at all? Do you think that it's harder to just get involved as a newcomer for that reason?
I would hope not. I could see how it could be. I would hope that, I would hope people would invite. I know with our encampment, we we go out of our way to invite people in to see things, and oh, and this is how you can do it. And the cloth covered is really just a rider wagon that we've put these little posts on and put this little draping around, and so to show them how to do these things, and it's not all that intimidating, and it's in a lot of ways it's not that expensive, and it's very easy for you to do, and here, let me help you, I show you how to do it, and I think that as long as we old timers can continue to do that, to welcome people and to help them, I think that's a really big part of being a peer is to welcome them in and help them. You can see somebody looking lost or stranded, say, hi, what you looking at? What can I help you with? God, have you seen this? This is the coolest thing. Come here, you got to come see this. And, just be open and very giving. I think that helps a lot. So I would hope it isn't intimidating, but I could see how it could be.
I think that's a really good point, that hospitality is really the salve for a lot of what could ail us as a society. And that, we do talk sometimes in Ontario, we have terrible traffic problems. Like the traffic and growth in this area has been just outrageous. And as a consequence, it used to take maybe a few hours to get to some events. And now it can take, trying to struggle through the urban areas on our major freeways, it can take double the time. Yep. And we've been talking about it as sort of an equity issue, that it's difficult that way for people. You have to take a whole day off to get to an event instead of going after work, or you need to, just the expense associated with it and storage and all of that. But hospitality and that spirit of generosity really is a big part of how we can address that. Mm-hmm. So I'm really happy to hear you say that, because those, big SCA households have always had that, that sense of hospitality dialed in, right? So
yeah. I hope so. Yeah, we've always tried to anyway. Yeah, I think hospitality is very important, because if we don't welcome the new people in and grab onto them and hug them and love them, then we're going to fall off the tree and we're all going to die, because you've got to get your growth somewhere. And while the young ones who have kind of, the second and third generations now that are coming up, we didn't have that many kids back in the day. So, we need to also welcome these other people, the newcomers as well. It's very important.
Yeah. So. And adapt to their needs. Right.
Yes.
And you were a princess after you were queen, which is not, in Ontario, we tend to see more of the opposite, that people reign as princess first and then as queen. And so I'd love to hear how that experience was different for you.
Well, the big reason was when we started reigning, Artemisia, other than a fantasy, really didn't exist yet. It wasn't anything. And then it became Crown Lands. And I think it was after our fifth reign, I think it was our fourth reign, Artemisia had become a principality in its own right, which was really, really cool. And then Brian and I wanted to be part of that history, to really get to know and embrace Artemisia, our home, in that manner. So that's why it was, king and queen first and then princess afterwards. So, and it was also an accident, because Nigel, our oldest, he was 6 months old, I think. And so we spent you were talking about long drives. We spent the long drive going up there, talking about why this wasn't really a good idea. We had this little teeny baby, first time parents, I don't know, it's not a good plan. And, by the end of it, His Grace said, won the tournament, and we got to be prince and princess. And it was a delightful, wonderful, amazing experience. I wouldn't trade it for anything. It was great.
Why don't we go to the slides? Yeah. And why don't we go to the slides with that? Because it's a perfect segue into, wait, I have to reopen the slides. Okay. It's a perfect segue into these. Sorry about this. There we are. Because speaking of children, who are these?
The two in blue are my two. The taller one, that's Nigel, and the younger one there is Duncan. And in maroon next to the two of them is Duke Michael and Duchess Shauna's son, Kaylin. This was the boys' first Penzic. And they're just the cutest little things in the whole world. I just love them to death. They're so cute.
When do you think this was?
This was probably, see, we moved here in 96, so that was probably 97.
So I have to tell you, my son is named Niles, Niles, and I wanted to name him Nigel. But my husband, Thorin Njálsson, which Njál is the same root as Nigel, he had been a participant in a Ren fair out here called Camlin Fair and had gone by Sir Nigel. And he's like, I don't really want to use Nigel because that was my Camlin name. And I'm like, well, I want to name him Nigel because of Nigel Tufnell from Spinal Tap. Yeah. And so we had to go with Niles instead, which is a variant on Nigel, the same name. And so now the biggest association is with Frasier. But Nigel has a special place in my heart. It's like, such a great name. And it's also like, it evokes lots of different things, like from soccer players to Episcopalian clergy. And
Nigel comes from Sir Nigel, the book Sir Nigel, which is Brian's favorite book. So that's
not Spinal Tap.
No, not Spinal Tap.
That's
sorry.
Right. So moving on a few years, tell us what we're seeing here.
There they are, all grown up. There's Kaylin. He's again in the purple. Nigel is here with the two-headed eagle in the burgundy and yellow tabard. Next to him in blue, that's Matthew, one of Brian Squire's son. In the middle there is Duncan, the youngest. He wasn't quite old enough to fight yet. And then next to Duncan is Angus, a very dear friend that we've watched grow up. And, you know, just I look at these 5 men and they make me just proud. Yeah. And so deliriously honored and proud to know all of them. They're just wonderful human beings. So
that's great. And are they still playing now?
Kaylin, I believe, does, and Matthew does. I don't know about Angus right now. Nigel is in the middle of a career and everything, and Duncan's still going to school to get his master's. So,
well, good for them.
Not as much yet.
Yeah. Right. Well, and of course, nobody's really playing right at this very moment. So.
Right now.
This is lovely. Tell us about this.
This is Brian's and my very first coronation. And there was this rundown old mill, and the barony, we put a lot of muscle into it and a lot of work. And this old mill turned into an amazing stone building that we got to hold our first coronation in. And it was really, really cool. And that, you know, that was the first time on the throne for me. So that was like, it was just spectacular. It was just magic. It was beautiful. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
This is great.
This was our second reign out here in the East. We were king and queen for the archery champions. And, you know, the archery champion says, okay, well, you know, you can send us all off and that will be great. And his majesty and I decided, well, no, we're going to go shoot the course with you. And that delighted them no end. And so we went out and, you know, we got to shoot our champions course, you know, so we could really get a feel for what the champions had to go through to become our champions. And it was a perfect day. It was nice and cool, and it was up in the woods, and they had animals, and it was a delightful day. It was so much fun.
And really importantly, your sleeves had been constructed properly with a seam down the back so that you could lift your arms up above your waist. So
yes,
that's really important.
Yeah, I totally noticed that too. Yeah.
This is great.
This is, I love this picture. This is my Duke. This is my husband. This is my knight in shining armor. This is the love of my life. And he happens to be saluting me in a crown tourney. And that picture, I don't think there's anything that fills me with more love. Oh my, more love and joy than that picture right there. I love him so much. He has given me so much. don't have the words to express how much I love and adore him.
Well, this is the dream, right? This is what the SCA is predicated on, is this moment.
This moment right here. Yeah.
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 And I note that he's not using his edge against his helmet, because that's he didn't knock himself out before the tournament even started. So
no,
important.
That's very important. Yes.
This is lovely. What a great picture.
So I have a reputation for liking to climb things. I'm not particularly tall. So if I really want to see things, there's footstools or trees or ramadas. And our last rain, there was a big battle going on. This happens to be at Mud Thaw, and I wanted a better view. And so, to the chagrin of my guard, up the little pole I shimmied. And it's great. I know it's mean. It's so mean, but it's so fun to watch them because they don't know what to do. They don't know whether to pull me down or to help me up or to get blankets to catch me if I fall. It's just a terribly evil little thing to do to them, but it's fun, and it was all done in good fun, and we had a great day. So that was at Mud Thaw this last rain.
It could have been worse. You could have been on stilts.
That's true.
Which would have been really difficult for them. I love your shawl too. I just want to mention that.
Oh, thank you.
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
This is fun. Look at all of these. This style of Norse, of course, we don't have documentation for it, but I love it so much. I had a dress like this too for one of my reigns with beautiful embroidery across the front of it. And it's just, the pageantry is so cool. And these are so beautiful.
Thank you. These are my appendages. And
I love it. What do their dresses say? Do they all have little phrases on them?
They do. They all have a name. There's chaos and mischief and mayhem. But so they all have their own little specific name. And on the ribbons, it says in Norse, "If lost, please return to Duchess Anna."
Gorgeous.
And then mine actually says, "Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria." And then, "Yes, they do all belong to me."
See, with runes, you can get away with so much. There's always a chance that someone's going to know what something says if it's Latin. Yeah. But it's a smaller subset that's willing to sit and kind of go through the runes and try and figure out what they are. When I reigned as Princess of Sinagua, it was with the late wonderful Sir Obadiah the Obstreperous, and he was a larger than life personality, and I made his tunic for his stepping up with the Sinaguan swan in Norse on the front, and it said in runes, "Strong like ox, smart like tractor." It's his favorite thing to say about himself. And it was, I've also threatened people if I'm embroidering runes on something, I'm like, you need to tell me what this has to say or you're not going to like what I put on there.
That's awesome. I love that.
You need to tell me. So this is great. So let's see. Oh, this is epic. We would like to know what's going on here.
So this is Duchess Avelina. And it was a crown tourney a few years back, and Brian and Kenrick were in the final round. And I get extremely nervous at crown tourney to the point where His Grace will ask me to go away because I make him nervous. So Her Grace and I were commencing in the corner, and we thought it wasn't fair that there was no way for the ladies that are being fought for, the consorts, to like burn off energy. I mean, I'm vibrating and so was she. So we decided we would remedy that. And we decided that, we would take this matter into our own hands, literally. And we decided we would arm wrestle for the crown, to which their majesties and their graces said no, but we tried. So, but it was great fun.
That's really funny. And, in Ontier, we have enormous open lists for crowns, but there is always a really good chance that the two consorts sitting next to each other are good friends, and you're legitimately happy for both yourself. If you win, great, but for your friend who's sitting there and you're like, oh, either one of us, it would be so cool. But it's just nerve-wracking. And I find I can't focus my eyes on the fighting in a final. I have to just sort of zone it out and
There you go.
just listen to the cheers and gauge the results based on that. It's really tough. So, and you're kind of on display. So
yeah, you got to keep the face and keep composure, and you really just kind of want to go back behind a tree and kind of maybe throw up. And yeah, it's hard. It's really, really hard. But yeah, so Her Grace and I decided we take care. This was, oh my God. So many years ago, I went to a Gulf Wars, and I was, I was in love with it. It was great fun. And I always thought it would be an amazingly exciting thing to be able to ride in the equestrian procession at opening ceremonies as queen. And His Grace, did that for me. So that was us going into the opening ceremonies. I think it's four Gulf Wars ago. So, and that was, which you never know. Horses frighten me a bit, but it was great. It was so much fun. So we loved it. So
one of my apprentices who now lives in China as a teacher, her name's Nita. She made, like a jester's hobby horse, the type that you wear out of a, big wicker basket with the head. And it dispensed wine out of one of its orifices. So I think something like that is much less intimidating, and I'm sure we could figure out a way for you to dispense Chardonnay.
No, bad.
All right, what's this photo?
This was our second stepping down here in the East, and again, His Grace knelt down before me and proceeded to tell me that he was going to make me ugly cry. And he sang a beautiful song. He sings "My Queen" to me, and I ugly cry for a good 10 minutes afterwards. So it was just a very touching, beautiful moment, and very special.
That's wonderful. And there's a mural of what looks like maybe Neuschwanstein behind you. I'm taking it this wasn't in the mill anymore.
No, this was at the first coronation was in Salt Lake. This is actually, I'll be honest, I don't remember, where were we? It was one of the Southern Baronies. I know it. I think it was in Bergenthal.
Yeah, just idly curious. The sites that different kingdoms have available to them is really fascinating. Yeah. And, I'd love to see sort of a retrospective of different kingdoms' coronation sites as their kingdoms have grown, especially.
That would be cool.
Artemisia actually has a real fucking castle.
You need to put a quarter in the quarter jar if he's.
All right.
Usually it's me that's in.
I get really excited about the castle though, because that's like one of the coolest sites ever.
Usually it's me that's in danger of dropping an F-bomb.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's okay. You just knew I wanted to say it. So yeah, but we went to hotels a long time ago because on Tier, we didn't have sites that had the capacity, and it's just not the same being in a conference room as, or a whatever banquet hall as it is being in some place that has the atmosphere, so it's cool when we get to see those places. So we interviewed Duchess Kiva, and she got to reign in Drachenwald. I know. It's like
they're cheating.
They just have castles lying around. They're in the way. Right. So I love this picture of you. We use this for the promotional for the interview. It's so good.
So this was, I think it's been about 7 years now, 8 years ago. The ladies of the Rose have been talking for a very long time about getting a tournament started up here in the East. And we finally got to do it. And this was the first one, and the men, and there's a lady back here. But this is part of my Rose team. It consisted of both heavy fighters and rapier fighters. And it was a glorious day. It was a lot of fun. It took a long time to get it going, and it's still going strong. And we've been able to add archery and let's see, hard archery, fencing, heavy thrown weapons. They're trying to figure out a way to get equestrian into it. So it's definitely grown and it's become very, very inclusive. So it was a great day. It was beautiful. It was so much fun. So
that's very cool. And if you ever decide that you want to rein in on tier, you have the colors for it there.
awesome.
So you just need to add some yellow and white checky to it, and you're totally set. So if you end up in Seattle or Portland or Vancouver, BC, you'll be okay. So
sounds excellent.
I have questions about this.
Okay.
First of all, there's a wizard.
There is. This was a moment. This was one of those miserably hot, icky, gross Penzics. And all the children were out of camp, and a wizard came to visit us because he was getting ready to go to, I believe it was a Harry Potter party somewhere at Penzic. And we the ladies of the camp decided, I won't say it because then I have to pay a quarter to the jar, but we decided to screw it, and we were done for the day. And so you can't see it, but there's a little baby pool on the ground.
Yeah.
And all of the ladies have their skirts up and our feet in ice water, just relaxing and enjoying the day. And we had a lovely squire that was running around fetching us soft, cold, icy drinks. So it was a very good day.
That's a good squire.
That was an excellent squire. So yes, that was a really good time.
I've only been to Penzic once, but I did go as queen, which was pretty cool. And not cool, it was hot. And we also had a wading pool that's in the permanent belongings of Ontier, I guess, it's stashed there. And there is a photo of us very similar to this in that wading pool, and it's life-saving.
Oh, it is. It definitely is.
The difference. It's just like, especially if you're not from a place where you have that kind of humidity in the summer, which we do not here. And it's a lot to get used to very quickly. No air conditioning, of course. And so I appreciate this photo a lot, but the wizard did throw me a little bit. He's not feeling the heat at all. So
what I'm hearing is that when I go to Penzic again, I need to come by y'all's camp, because I grew up in the Midwest, and anything above like 10% is sticky for me.
Yeah, just remember, an ice pack in your loincloth does a lot of good.
I already added it to the packing list from last week.
We talked about this in a recent episode, that the best place to put an ice pack is down your pants. Like that's really, that's where the arteries are running, and you really need to do that. But I wouldn't be above putting one like inside my coronet either, like an ice ring, a cold ring. So
that works very well, actually.
Yep. That's too good. Ashaxi is heckling me in the chat, and she says a loin pack instead of an ice pack. So I think that's good. I think that's good. Okay, well, here, let's look at this wonderful photo.
This is a group of equestrians. You have Master Duncan and Mistress Eleanor, and I believe that is is that Kenna and Duchess Kenna and Brian. And it's a wonderful event that we used to hold up here called Pantaria. It was all equestrian. It was great fun. And at the end of the day, they just were all, excited. So it was V for victory because their team had done very well, and it was fun to watch. So, and the horses and the equestrian up here is quite spectacular. So it's a lot of fun. It was a good event.
Come out some year post-pandemic to Ontier. Again, I just want everybody to come to Ontier, but we have the Prix of the Black Lion. That is a really cool event too. I'm going to give a little shout out for it, though some people say Prix, and I'm not going to have that fight with you. But Anyway, it's a really cool event, and we have a really strong equestrian culture here as well. So in fact, we started a memorial of the riderless horse here for people who have passed. And that was largely because of the strength of the equestrian community here and how integrated they are into the SCA here. So I always like to see horses at events.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They're wonderful.
Aww.
This just kind of sums up Brian and I. He's very regal and I'm just goofy. And I can't remember what happened, but I'd asked him for something and he said yes. And so, you know, he got a big hug and everything. So I just like the look on his face. He just really doesn't know what to do with me half the time. So
yeah, I can relate.
So, fun fact, I've seen that smile come up before behind his bar grill before he flat snapped my soul out of my body. So,
Aww.
so just saying, love you, Brian.
Well, those are fantastic. We love seeing slides and pictures from other kingdoms. And it does remind me to ask you, though, how are reigns staffed in the East? So do you have court or retinue? Do you have big retinues? Like, how do you typically staff a court?
It varies from reign to reign and person to person. I think you have, you know, ladies in waiting and your head retainers and things like that. You have your guard. There's always a queen's guard. And I know for us personally, we got where we were very much using a very mundane way of doing things. It was very much, we had a chief of staff. We had our, you know, a person in charge of publicity and newsletters and things like that. We had our lady of the wardrobe and stuff like that. So it very much, you know, you have the basics are pretty much all the same. The amount varies from person to person. And, you know, then you kind of tweak it for your own persona or your own personality and stuff like that. So, yeah. So.
Cool. And what would they say about you working for you?
Oh, good God. Not her again. I would hope they had a good time. It was always my intent for them to have a good time. So I would hope they had a good time. So,
apparently you like to climb things.
I do like to climb, but I like to have fun.
Yeah.
I really do enjoy having a good time.
Do you have a silently communicate that you want somebody, you don't want to talk to somebody anymore and you want someone to interrupt?
Yes.
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 Mine was I would flick boogers at them. So,
you're so subtle.
Yeah. When you were talking about there's always someone with a camera, I am so shocked that there aren't more pictures. There's one. More pictures of me pretending to flick boogers at people where I'm like, okay, I'm done talking to you now. And my court's like, you're not supposed to actually do it. I'm like, yeah, that's what you thought.
You and I need to have drinks because I am really loving you.
I mean, should we? Or
you definitely should.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Sport of Kings.
Yeah, come out for Sport of Kings. Come on here. You'll never want to leave. All right. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, you're out. I haven't quite recovered from that yet. Damn it. Mine's actually kind of a serious question. Okay. We're good. All right. So over the years, you've been given the opportunity to recognize quite a few peers. When you're going to an event and you just happen upon a vigil tent or you're poking your head into someone that you've helped recognize as a peer, what's like the core of the advice that you love to give someone?
Well, it varies a little bit depending on how well I do or don't know them. But generally, I like to tell them to sit back and think about it, enjoy the day, take a few months after your elevation to settle into being a peer and figure out what kind of peer you want to be. And now your voice has weight. Not that voices don't have weight, but with the peerage, your voice tends to have more weight. So this is your chance to do good. You know, be the kind of peer that uses their voice and their standing to do something good with it. Be the positive that makes the newcomer want to come back and play. Be the positive that makes somebody who's not being particularly nice go, oh, maybe I'm being a butthead. Maybe I shouldn't do that. You know, be the person that, for me, the one thing that, I think how I want to say this, the way, when I look at my pollings and I see a person's name, the thing that sets it for me, yes or no, is if I can look at you and say, if I see a newcomer and they say, oh, what's it like to be a peer? And I can look at that person and I can go, see, Joel, that man right there, that's a peer. When you grow up in the SCA, you want to be like him. That's the critique that I use for my yes vote. That's more important to me than the art, the science, the service. That peer-like quality is very, very important to me. So I just try to impress upon them, you know, this is your chance to do good in the world. This is your chance to be that positive force that, you know, everybody wants to be. So that's kind of it.
Yeah, and the sort of the obligation of peerage to do that, and to be positive, but also to reduce the negative, and you know, make sure that people feel safe, and you know, that the SCA is a place that they're going to be able to thrive. Is, I mean, it's challenging because we can't be all things to all people, but we can reduce the harm that we do, or we can reduce the barriers to entry for people that need the community, right? So
yeah, absolutely. Just love everybody. There's nobody out there that doesn't deserve some love. There's just not. Everybody has a good side. Everybody has a good place, and everybody wants to be good. I do believe that. So, you know, help them. Be good yourself. Help them.
I know I would not be anywhere near where I am today if I didn't have friends that were brave enough to stand up to me and tell me I was being an asshole. So
I made up an award for that. We call it the Neville. It's not a but if somebody
before or after the Ass Herald on the order of precedence?
Oh, the Ass Herald, that's a whole different discussion. You have to listen to an earlier episode to know about Ass Heralds. But
continuity, folks. So speaking of awards, actually, this is a great segue for that one. If there was one award that you could snap into existence right now, no politics, no nothing, just an award that you feel like you would love to see created, what would that award be, and what would it be for?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Does it have to be a serious award?
No.
Can you give it out a lot of times?
As often or as little as you want to. We've had answers ranging from the Ass Herald to the Omnibus Peerage and everything in between now. So.
Oh, let's see. It would have to be something that had to do with happiness. I would like to award people for being happy and kind. The kindness award, that would be it. Just for acts of kindness, just sporadically.
The barony I started in Ontier had which was Glimmer. Shout out to Glimmer. They liked puns, and they had this strawberry pillow that they would give out that was for the sweetest deed. And it was one of those awards that just changed hands all the time, where people, you know, just for doing little things that were sweet. So I'd like to point out that I have never received the sweetest deed, and there's some good reasons for that. However, I can be weaponized if you need something hard done. So that is something.
Putting that
known for. Dial up Dagmare and send her over. I'll take care of it.
While looking at your OP for getting ready for this, I noticed that you had an award that I hadn't seen before, and that really kind of caught my eye. And that was the Companion of the Consort's Order of Courtesy. I might have screwed it up.
Companion of the Consorts. Oh, that would be the Queen's Order of Courtesy. It's been renamed. So now instead of king and queen, it's instead of queen, it's consort. So that's, it's more generic. Generic is not the right word.
Neutral.
Neutral. Thank you. So it's my Queen's Order of Courtesy, okay, which was lovely. Yeah, for just being courteous and nice, and that was really cool. Okay. Renee gave that to me. That was very sweet. Yeah. Yeah.
And so the next question on here is, what is your favorite event in all of the SCA? One that if you had to tell anyone in the entire world.
Crown Tournament. There is nothing I enjoy more than watching a Crown Tournament. I like it a little better if Brian's fighting in it, but I love a tournament. That is, to me, the best event. Just a straight up tournament. I love them. I love them, love them, love them. Yep. Yep.
Do you have a culture in the East of the people recording them and then all the fighters sit around and watch Crown Tournament videos? Is that a thing there?
I think they do it a little bit. Not being a fighter, I don't know for sure. I'm sure there is critique that goes on. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
My favorite thing is watching people watch those videos and then realizing it was one of my friends recording and that we're standing next to her with a running commentary on the tournament, and it's awesome and not always suitable for YouTube. And so some of them don't get posted.
Yeah, the best part of Crown, and considering I never made it past the semifinals because I keep choking, but is the Mystery Science Theater gallery going along the side there, talking of all the critiquing and smack talking that's happening. That's my favorite part of Crown.
Just so you know, the consorts are not talking about the same things as the fighters, generally speaking, but it's pretty worthwhile if you can find those. So
I will definitely look.
So Anna, what keeps you in the SCA after all these years? And you have all these peerages, and so a lot of the significant things that you could work towards, you've already accomplished. So what do you continue to work and strive for in the society?
Well, it's the people that keep me here. I've made, lifelong friends from coast to coast. I'm very blessed, and I can honestly say, I have friends in every kingdom, in the SCA. So that's what keeps me in the SCA. I love learning new things because with technology and everything, our research and stuff, has gotten so much better, and there's so much more to learn. So learning new things. And I just like the magic that gets created, that I can help create. I like making people happy. I like raising them up and helping them grow. So that's something that I very much enjoy doing. So yeah. That would be it. Drinking buddies, you can't go wrong with a few good drinking buddies. So
long ago I was made a laurel in the West Kingdom, and I was on a West Kingdom laurel list, and somebody was talking about how the events were devolving at night into fancy dress cocktail parties, and they were not okay with that. And I was like, that is the SCA to me. That is exactly. It is a fancy dress cocktail party in a cow pasture. And anyone who takes it any more seriously than that needs to understand, yes, this other stuff is there and it's wonderful, but ultimately we're all standing in a cow pasture, yes, in costumes. And that we need to start there.
And I will take that moment to say, we can't all keep being dorks standing in a cow pasture if you don't renew your membership. So everybody that is listening, please check your membership. That's support right. The SCA if it is possible. We all understand everyone has different things going on right now. Mm-hmm. But if you can, support the SCA, renew your membership, please. All right, I sneak that in every week because that's something that needs to happen.
That's a good thing.
In my household, Thorin pays for two things. That's our 3-year memberships. We just take care of it that way. And he makes sure our car insurance is always paid, because if it was left up to me, it wouldn't necessarily happen. So he just automatically takes care of those two things, and I don't have to worry about them. So I just get handed a card every 3 years. So
there you go.
So, the pandemic and, I tend to call it the ongoing global bastard, but it's changed how we play the SCA as a whole. There's been online content coming out, virtual content coming out, such as this interview, which hopefully, sometime down the road will help new consorts coming out that are looking for information or background. How do you see the SCA once we're able to start meeting in person again? I know, we know we're not going to be able to wave a wand and just go right back to how things were, but what do you see the SCA being like on the other side?
I think we'll become a hybrid of both. I think it will be wonderful to, see people and go to sites and get dressed in our pretty clothes and, stand in our cow pastures and have fancy cocktails and all of that. But I also see, instead of meetings and things like that having to happen at events, I can see, using the Zoom platform or a platform like that to have your peerage meetings or your polling orders or things like that. So I can see it becoming kind of a hybrid of both. And I think that would be a really nice thing. So.
What, I'm trying to think of how I can word this one's.
Just say it.
Okay, as a peer of multiple branches, what aspirations do you have for driving the future of the SCA forward?
Wow. I don't know yet, Joel.
We hardly ever do.
I honestly don't. I don't have an answer for you for that.
That's totally fine. It was.
Now you've given me something to think about.
That's perfect.
Come back and give us an answer another time, but it sounds like the values that brought you to the SCA are things that you would most like to see perpetuated. Oh, yeah. And, the world has become harder in some ways, and it certainly is harder for some people to live in this world than it has been. And it sounds like one of your aspirations would be to ensure that everyone gets to benefit from the same kindness, consideration, and values that we love about the SCA, so how do we make sure that those things are available to everyone is a really, there's a lot to think about and unpack with that.
Yeah, no, I think everybody, not just peers in the royalty, but everybody, step up and help people that are different and include them and make them feel welcomed and part. They want to be part of something. So this is a really wonderful organization to let them be part of. And they, everybody has so much to give. Why would you cut anybody out of that just because of whatever you think is different about them? Everybody, I'm hoping I'm saying this right, but everybody, no matter what, you can never have too much knowledge, and you can never have too many friends or too much love in one group. You just can never have too much of that.
Yeah.
I totally appreciate that.
Yeah. And that love is what makes the SCA beautiful. That's what makes it home for everybody, or that's what makes the dream. And I rarely say the dream because I kind of feel like it's cliche, but that's what makes it true for everybody, is that love and respect. And no matter who they are or where they're from or what their background is or who they love, they're welcome and they're loved for it.
Yep.
So
absolutely.
Well, I've loved these interviews because it gives us a chance to get to know people, make new friends across the kingdoms in ways that I don't know that these connections would have happened for me. You know, I don't get out to those big inter-kingdom events, and we don't go to wars really. And so it's been really special for me. And I think that for people watching, it's a chance to also relive some of their favorite experiences. We have a number of comments, so I hope you'll go and read them, from people saying that you were their first queen, you're their Duchess, you know, talking about things you've done for them and memories they have of you. And so I hope you go and read those. They're pretty special. And then on our part, if this was a formal event and we were all sitting in court, there would be some kind of a massive exchange of baskets. And so this is going to be our virtual basket exchange. And since it's virtual and we're not actually doing it, we can put anything we want in those baskets. Absolutely anything. So we have prepared for you a virtual gift basket. And my head of court would have come and talked to your person and asked some questions ahead of time. So I'm going to have to ask you directly, are you a milk or dark chocolate fan?
Milk, please.
Milk chocolate. Okay. And if you drink wine, are you more of a white wine or a red wine person?
Tequila.
Tequila. Okay. All right. That's
Like
kind of a form of wine. And puppies or kittens?
Well, I have a really cute puppy, so a kitten would be fun to play with.
Okay. All right. This is good. This is good. We can work with this. So I think what we would probably give you, since we can give you anything at all, is first of all, some lovely milk chocolate, perhaps made from one of the boutique chocolatiers here in the Pacific Northwest, something you can't just go in a store and buy where you are. And since it's milk chocolate, we'll make sure that it has a little ice pack with it because it's probably hot wherever we're giving it to you. You do not want it to melt before it makes it into your belly. So,
but then I can refreeze it and use it as a later at a really hot event.
As a loin pack, yes.
There you go, a loin pack. There you go.
Chocolate loin packs. I mean, they really sell themselves, Joel. So, and then definitely I will let Joel pick out the tequila for you. I am allergic to tequila, which I know is a weird thing because it's supposed to be an anti-inflammatory, but I cannot drink it. I cannot touch it. So Joel will pick out for you something really special that comes in some kind of unusual bottle that then you're not sure you can throw away. You're like, feel like I should keep this bottle. So it's like an albatross.
I already know which one.
For years to come, you know, because you're like, it's so cool. I don't want to get rid of it. And then since we already have a really cute puppy, what we'll do is there'll be a bunch of kittens that somebody already has found homes for, but you get to like hold them and revel in them for as long as you want and then hand them back and you don't have to take care of them, if that sounds good to you.
And I just thought of another perfect addition, a like strapping squire with a portable, like a ladder of some kind to assist with her climbing up stuff.
Oh.
See, like, so like just someone following around with a ladder, put it down. She can climb up on whatever she wants to into a tree. And
it's a pocket ladder. It's kind of like the pocket fisherman, but it's pocket ladder that's safe and they can put you on a perch. You know, it's like one of those things they sell for kids to watch their parents cook in the kitchen.
I love it. Oh, I love it. I love it.
I kind of think someone should make one of those for you. Like this should be a thing. It could be a chair. It could be a step ladder.
I don't know if my squire is watching right now, but if you are, you have she's going to have a job now at the next event we're all together at. So I got you. Grace.
Love this idea. It could have an umbrella holder in it for shade and a cup holder. It could be all the things.
Oh, awesome.
That would be great.
That would be an amazingly beautiful gift basket. And thank you very much from the bottom of my heart. That would be wonderful.
Oh, thank you. We've so appreciated your time and wonderful commentary and for putting up with us, which is not a small thing.
No, you guys are wonderful. This has been fun.
Your Grace, yeah, thank you so much for joining us this week. It's an honor. You know, you came extremely highly recommended, actually, from our guest for next week, Duchess Cortland of Artemisia, who is very near and dear to my heart. But please take a chance to read back on the comments whenever you have a moment. You're receiving a lot of love And there's a lot of people that are commenting on how you're their rose, you're their first queen, and there's so much love that is aimed for you. So thank you so much for joining us. Everybody that was watching, thank you so much for coming in. Join us next week where we will be interviewing Duchess Cortland of Artemisia. And that's it. Renew your memberships, stay safe, wear your mask. We all love you so much. Thank you.
Hey, Brian, your gargoyle behind you. See you.
Brian, who's incidentally closing those accounts.
Thank you for having me. I had such a good time. Thank you.